Folks, welcome to Movie News Monday, where every single Monday, live on Twitch, we cover everything in the world of entertainment. We're talking movies, television, MCU, DCU, all the you know what it is. So hey, hit that like and subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're watching on Twitch, say hi to chat and say hi to YouTube. We have our first official look at Dune Part 3, Dune Messiah. I guess they're just calling it Dune Part 3. We have our first official posters. Now, by the time this goes up on YouTube, there will be a trailer out. So, for folks watching live, stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, there will be a trailer out. But in the meantime, for Movie News Monday, we have some posters to look at. Paul Atreides, man, having gone through it. My face when I don't win the Oscar because of the opera. I don't know, man. Clearly, a lot has gone on from where we left off with Dune Part 2. I love Dune Part 2, man. It made me like Dune Part 1 even more. Admittedly, I fell asleep the first time I tried to watch that movie, but it was COVID days, okay? And I was watching it on HBO Max and an Airbnb and a tiny TV. It was not the right way to see it. But I rewatched that movie, really liked it. And then I appreciated that Dune Part 2 said, hey, we did all the exposition in the first movie, so we're just diving right in, get on board or get out. And I was on board, baby. I went back for showing number 2 in IMAX. Now, as we know, Dune Part 3 does hold the exclusive United States IMAX window for December 18th, which is currently Doomsday. It is also the day that Avengers Doomsday is coming out. So, nerds, we are going to be having a great time in the movie theater. You will know where to find us. I'm very excited. I know very little about what happens in the Dune stories from here on out. I do know some like vague kind of meme-y things that happen, like, you know, someone becomes a worm or something like that. I don't know, but I'm on board. I'm here. I'm excited for it. And hey, who knows? Maybe Timothée Chalamet's Oscar comes from Dune Part 3. Wouldn't that be cool, huh? Wouldn't it be cool to see a movie like Dune win an acting award? That'd be great. So we'll keep it going. And hey, as excited as we are to see Dune on IMAX, let's keep that same excitement going for Universal Studios keeping the movie theaters alive. That's right. In a world where the David Ellisons of the world and the Walt Disneys of the world and the Ted Sarandos of the world are making us nervous about cinema, in the minions we can trust. Universal has officially committed to guaranteeing a minimum of 5 weekends of exclusivity for brand new movies. Now, the distinction of 5 weekends is important because we have some films when it comes to holiday weekends or, you know, special releases and stuff like that come out a little bit early, a little bit later, but 5 weekends of movie theater runtime for all their movies, exclusive movie theater runtimes, so that there's no competition with video on demand, with rentals, or with Universal's streaming service, Peacock. And even better, starting the following year, that minimum will extend to 7 weekends of guaranteed exclusivity. So in a world where we are all so nervous about what this means for movie theaters or what all these mergers and consolidations and everything like that, Universal says, don't worry, y'all, we got you. So that includes movies coming up soon, like Christopher Nolan's Odyssey, like the Super Mario Galaxy film. Those are going to have longer exclusive weekend windows in the theater, which means if you don't get to it right away, you're not going to miss out, which is what I feel is one of the biggest downsides, right? You're taking away the benefit of word of mouth. You're taking away the benefit of longevity and giving people time to discover a good movie, especially when sometimes, like in the summers, a lot of good movies come out, right? You might just not have a chance. Life happens. Weekends are when you get work done nowadays, right? A lot of stuff happens. The The theater owners are understandably very excited. AMC had to say that this is extraordinarily beneficial and it strengthens the entire theatrical ecosystem, and it absolutely does. Universal remains a theatrical first studio that's proven by the breadth of our slate, our commitment to our filmmakers, and the ongoing investments we make in the creative community. So while we're all nervous about what the heck is going to happen with all these mergers and everything, we can take a quick sigh of relief in knowing that Universal, at the very least, is going to keep things going. So when the next Jurassic World movie comes out and the next Fast and the Furious movie comes out, the next Despicable Me or Minions or whatever, we're going to be okay. I certainly do not mean to minimize. This is good news in every sense of the world, and every sense of the word. I also hope that this means that Universal is going to be more dedicated and more committed to other arms of its business as well with this same model, so that they expand this to their mid-market and their small independent distribution arms, as well as obviously their animation arms. So Universal, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for the movie theaters. This is a great first step. Movie theaters are also a fantastic place to experience your superhero movies, and we just got our latest roundup for Man of Tomorrow, the Superman sequel that James Gunn is working on. Now, James Gunn has given us a lot to look forward to with his brand new DC universe. We just got the brand new trailer for the Lantern series, which we watched recently. I'm personally looking forward to it. I know that there's been a lot of chatter online about it doesn't look, where's the green? It's not, superhero enough, whatever it is. I'm excited because it looks like an interesting show outside of the fact that it's a Lantern show, which I'm sure that component is going to be very interesting. But James Gunn has also committed to fast turnarounds for these movies. We are going to be getting Man of Tomorrow, the Superman sequel, in theaters 2 years to the day that the first movie came out. That's awesome. That's great. That's efficiency. In a world where we're going to have more than 5 years in between our Batman movies, this is super great. We did hear and confirm this past week from Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision that Aaron Pierre's Jon Stewart will be joining the cast of the film for Man of Steel. We also did hear, of course, as we know, Brainiac is going to be the primary antagonist here, with German actor Lars Eidinger playing him. Fans of the DC world and fans of Superman are going to be very excited to see Brainiac on screen. This is the classic, comic book archetype of brains versus brawn. Of course, Superman is a little bit more than just strong guy hit hard, and Brainiac is a little bit more than just big guy smart mind. But it's a very fun dynamic, and of course, as we've understood from James Gunn's teases, the only way that they're going to be able to face this threat is by teaming Superman up with his greatest rival, Lex Luthor, played by Nicholas Hoult, who of course is returning to the movie. We did also get confirmation that Rachel Brosnahan, Skylar Gisoto, and Sarah Sampio will all be returning as Lois, Jimmy, and Eve Tessmacher, respectively. And we also have confirmation that Isabella Merced and Maria Gabriela de Faria will be returning. So the engineer is back. I'm very curious to see in what component. But fans of the Justice League Unlimited animated series from back in the day will be very excited to see that Hawk Girl and Jon Stewart's Green Lantern will both be in this movie. Will we get the recreation of their animated on-screen romance? Maybe so. I think that could be a lot of fun. So I'm very much looking forward to this movie. Is there a concern that we're moving really fast? I know that some critiques of the Superman movie was that it did not feel like a Superman movie. It felt like a Justice Gang movie. James Gunn has been very clear in saying that Man of Tomorrow is not expressly a Superman sequel, but rather just the next step in the DCU. That being said, there are also rumblings that the movie will officially be titled Superman Man of Tomorrow. I guess it depends who's in charge of Warner Brothers by the time that this movie's coming out. Or like we discussed on stream earlier, it doesn't matter what you call your movie. The public will call it whatever it is. Live, Die Tomorrow, Edge of Tomorrow, Man of Tomorrow. It's going to be okay. In either case, I'm looking forward to this. I also am excited that production will be taking place in Atlanta. So maybe I'll get my shot at running into some of these superheroes around town. But before we had superheroes on screen, we had sly Silvester Stallone running around as John Rambo. And if you didn't know, we do have a John Rambo prequel movie in the work. And Silvester Stallone is going to be executive producing. This movie is filming now. It's happening. And the film John Rambo is going to be taking place as a prequel to the Rambo movies, the First Blood movies that Silvester Stallone starred in. And Noah Centineo is going to be playing John Rambo in John Rambo. Okay, Noah Centineo. All right. That's Kissing Booth guy, right? Right? I think that's right. To All the Boys I've Loved Before. That's the one. Okay. That's the one. In either case, what a quick way to say, hey, please don't lump me into that category. I can do so much more. I'll be excited to get a first look at this. I do love a, man versus everyone type of action film. And this is being directed by Jalmer Helander, who worked on Sisu. It's not a film I'm familiar with. However, recognizing that it is being filmed in Thailand and it is going to have some local talent working on the stunts, that gets me excited. If you've ever seen Thailand-based stunt performers, they can do some really good stuff. There's a whole world of filmmaking that's this sort of beat 'em up category. I think about movies like The Raid. I think about movies like Judge Dredd or Dread. That feel incredibly fun and fast paced and don't have to be super deep. And in a movie like John Rambo, where we get the point, we know what Rambo is. You can really go a lot of places with it. It is exciting to see Silvester Stallone attached, even if it's just as an executive producer. Executive producer is a title that means a lot of things. Sometimes it is just an honorary title. Sometimes it is hey, you're getting involved and you're getting express buy-in for a lot of decisions. And with someone who's put a lot of work into this franchise, hopefully he's getting to own it a little bit. Interesting news in the world of Disney. As we know, Disney recently had their long-awaited, long-overdue shakeup in the world of executive leadership, with Josh D'Amaro taking on the role of CEO and Dana Walden taking on this new Chief Creative Officer role. With her promotion, there has been some change-ups, and I want to talk about a little bit of what it means and what is interesting about it with this new creative reshuffling that's happening at Disney. Because honestly, you hear corporate company moves around leadership team, and unless you're working at that company, it doesn't really impact you. But when it's Walt Disney that contributes so much to the world of entertainment and everything that we see on our screens, and specifically Dana Walden and her team, as the Chief Creative Officer, she is going to be so much more heavily involved in all of the creative force that's leading the charge here. And so, like I mentioned when the original announcement came out, she is really the one to keep an eye on. Yes, Josh D'Amaro as the CEO is going to have a lot of ownership, but there's going to be a lot of decisions about the type of movies and shows and video games that we get to experience from Disney that is now going to fall directly under Dana Walden. So let's take a look. A memo did go out internally from Dana Walden talking about the restructuring, and long time veteran of Disney, Alan Bergman, is still going to continue running the studio's arm of the business. So Alan Bergman is going to stay chairman of Disney Entertainment, and he will be leading the studio's arm of the business. So that is the live action films that Disney produces, both originally, but as well as what Marvel Studios and Lucasfilm and 20th Century report up to. They all will still continue to report up to Alan Bergman, and he will then report up to Dana Walden. Before, they were kind of on similar levels, but with different focuses. Now, Alan Bergman stays with the movies, and everyone else stays with him. So, probably very minimal changes to be seen as far as theatrical production strategies and studio strategies. Things like Kevin Feige with Marvel, the new leadership now with Dave Filoni at Lucasfilm, 20th Century, everything like that will likely still continue operating the same way. Over on the streaming side of things, Joe Early and Adam Smith will run as co-presidents of Direct to Consumer. They are going to be running the strategies along Disney Plus and Hulu and all of their streaming categories. Basically, these are the dudes to keep an eye on as far as the integration of AI, user-generated content, and vertical content onto all of these streaming platforms. The decisions that are going to happen about these bundles and these mergers and retiring the Hulu app and bringing that into Disney, Hulu Live and what that looks like as it evolves over the years, ESPN Plus, all of those different offshoots and everything that happens as far as the Disney Plus strategy that will go there, as well as likely some programming decisions and licensing decisions. So decisions as far as, will shows like Willow be removed off of the platform for a tax write-off and sold and distributed to other people? That's the kind of decisions that they're going to be in charge of. Deborah O'Connell will be the chairman of Disney Entertainment Television. So this is all of the television programming. That's going to be ABC, National Geographic, Disney Channel. Oh my gosh. 20th Television, all that kind of thing, ABC. This is closer to what Dana Walden's role used to be. Deborah O'Connell is now going to be overseeing all of the traditional television productions and television brands. This is all the cable stuff. So if you're still watching ABC, if you're still watching Disney Channel or Disney Junior or anything like that, and you want to see what happens with pilot season and development of new material and new work coming out, Deborah O'Connell is the person who's going to be attached to all of that. Except for John Landgraf, who will still remain as chairman of FX. FX is the production company and network broadcast channel that was inherited from the 20th Century acquisition. And this is essentially Disney's HBO for all intents and purposes. FX is It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, shows like that. Like they mentioned here, Love Story. FX is also American Horror Story and all those other things. It's all their more adult-centric, but also like sort of Emmy and awards bait style content. Very interesting move here. Now, Sean Shoptaw will be the EVP of Games and Digital Entertainment. So, previously, Digital Entertainment, which is Disney's gaming branch, video games, online games, game development for parks and partnerships and things like that, used to be under Disney Experiences, directly under Josh D'Amaro. That is now moving over to this arm of the business under the Chief Creative Officer. So Dana Walden will now oversee that development. So any sort of new video games that come out of Disney, think about, if there's a new Epic Mickey, right? Any collaboration games with Marvel properties, everything happening with Epic Games and Fortnite and that massive partnership. Now that will all be run in conjunction with everything else with the creative strategy of Disney. So it's not going to be specifically tied to parks and experiences. It's now moved over to be in more synergy with everything else going on in Disney's creative strategies. And last but not least, Asad Ayaz will remain Disney's chief and brand marketing officer, who has been very successful. So expect all the marketing that Disney does to remain very similar. Things like what we saw with the Oscars, right? All of those activations, things like we see with the Super Bowl, maybe not the best example to bring up, But all of those separate things. So, a lot of names, a lot to go through, but important to know. Look, I think it's important to remember and to consider that though we love Disney, though we love movies and shows and everything that happens, it is a business and it is a company. And when we have very few companies and fewer each day running the entertainment industry, I think it's important to know the people and know the history and know the structure as to where those things come from. So now you know when it feels like streaming is doing all this stuff for Disney, but the cable shows are running all this way and FX is going in this direction. When it feels disjointed, when it feels like it's all going under the same direction, you have a little bit of a better picture as who you can tie that to. Now, ultimately, all of these executives and all these people have a role and a responsibility to the company and to the shareholders and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, if we're remaining optimistic and understanding the way that this business works, this is a business in the arts that supports the arts. These are, ideally, all people who believe in the mission and believe in storytelling and believe in all of the artists that they're going to be collaborating in. And the ideal version of all of this news is that Dana Walden's creative ambitions and hopes and goals for the Walt Disney Company will trickle down through all of these different channels so that streaming and video games and broadcast and studios and all of that all feel that same level of enablement that they can pass on to their storytellers, which means us, the audience, get good content. Will all of that happen? I don't know. Maybe. But folks, it helps to be optimistic in this industry and in this world because sometimes you can just believe for long enough and stay optimistic for long enough and you'll be rewarded. Now, is there a more dedicated and tried and tested fan base than the fans of Firefly? If you have not heard of Firefly, first of all, hello? What is it like being on the internet for the first time ever? Have you seen a television show? Do you even know who Alan Tudyk is? Firefly is maybe the cult classic television series, originally created by Joss Whedon back in the day. It ran for one season. It was a sci-fi show that ultimately just never quite landed with the right audience in the broadcast cable world. Ran for 1 year back in 2002 and was unceremoniously canceled. It had fantastic characters, fantastic performances, great effects. All in all, it is the type of show that if it had come out today would have been doing fantastic, but it was canceled early. After enough time, it was brought back for a sort of wrap-up movie called Serenity with all the original crew and Joss Whedon returning. But, you know, fans missed out on a lot in between. And now we have learned, after weeks of teasing online with extremely vague social media trailers, Nathan Fillion has announced that there is an animated Firefly series in the works. So fans of Firefly, rejoice. You will get to see the crew fly one more time. All of the original crew are attached to return as the voice actors. The animated reboot is being developed by Nathan Fillion's production banner, Collision 33, in partnership with 20th Television Animation. Now, chat, we just did our homework. 20th Television Animation. So who runs this? What executive runs this? Let's defer back to our chart. 20th Animation. That's Entertainment Television. That's going to be Deborah O'Connell. 20th Television Animation. See? This is why we do this, chat. They are going to be working together on this animated reboot. Mark Guggenheim from fans of the Arrowverse will recognize that name. And Tara Butters are attached to serve as showrunners. They have a great resume in the world of this. Legends of Tomorrow, funny enough, like naturally came up in conversation today. A great sci-fi action comedy about time travelers. And then, of course, Agent Carter was a show that was developed in partnership with Joss Whedon back when he was helping run a lot of the creative endeavors over at Marvel. So they are very well versed in this world, and I think a very, very well qualified team to help run this show. Joss Whedon, creator of Firefly, or shall I say, disgraced creator of Firefly, who has gone through a canceling following what happened with the Justice League reshoots and some allegations about workplace behavior that have come out. Joss Whedon is not involved at all with the animated project. So some people will likely take issue with this. Ultimately, credit where credit is due. Joss really teed up an excellent show and some incredible characters, but the buck does not stop at Joss Whedon, and there are plenty of other well-qualified people like Mark and Tara who can take the reins from here. This series is set to take place in an in-between timeline between the show and the film Serenity. So we will get to fill in all of the gaps of what we missed and what we were supposed to have seen with the original show. Nathan Fillion says the dedication of Firefly fans has kept this 25-year-old show relevant. Clearly, the return of Firefly is something the fans want, and more importantly, it is something they deserve. And we have our first official concept art of the show. This is sort of the art style that we're looking at, which is great. I mean, this suits exactly what the show was. I am very optimistic about this. I think animated is the right way to go about this. It allows them to go extremely bold and extremely brave with the content that they're developing. It keeps it true to the time period because, like we mentioned, 25 years have passed. And look, all of them look great, but time has passed. We've also, of course, unfortunately seen some cast members pass away since the original run of the show. So it'll be great to see everybody come back and the story continue. I am very excited about this. I'm not a diehard fan of Firefly by any means. I did watch the one season and go, oh man, I wish I had more, but I haven't dwelled on it since I finished watching it, and frankly, I don't have it fully committed to memory. But I know that the fandom has been extremely passionate, and I wish them the absolute best with this show. So Firefly animated series, it's in development, and hopefully we'll be seeing it soon. Unfortunately, as it comes to reboots of Joss Whedon properties, they are not all going well. We did unfortunately learn this week that the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot that was being helmed by Chloe Zhao is unfortunately not moving forward with Hulu. Here is a statement from Buffy herself regarding what happened. Let's take a quick listen.
Unfortunately, Hulu has decided not to move forward with Buffy New Sunnydale. I want to thank Chloe Zhao because I never thought I would find myself back in Buffy's stylish yet affordable boots. And thanks to Chloe, I was reminded how much I love her and how much she means not only to me, but to all of you.
So there we go, straight from Buffy herself. It is unfortunately not going to be moving forward. This is certainly disappointing for a lot of people. The show was meant to serve as a sort of passing of the torch, seeing Buffy and her original crew take on the new mentorship role while a new Vampire Slayer was going to be taking over. But Hulu has decided to pass on the show for one reason or another. Obviously, this news came out right before the Oscars, and Chloe Zhao, of course, was nominated and there at the red carpet, and she was asked about what happened after Geller broke the news. Zhao said, I had an incredible time with Sarah, with all the cast and crew doing this, and we first and foremost see ourselves as guardians of the original show. Our priority has always been to be truthful to the show, truthful to our fans, so things happen for a reason. We keep our hearts open and we welcome the mystery and what this might lead us to. So, unfortunately, we won't be seeing this show come to light. And look, this is a situation where it could be a million different things. It could be that the quality of the show wasn't what Hulu was expecting. It could mean that the story and the specific direction that they chose wasn't quite right. Ultimately, this is why we do pilots, and this is why pilot season is important. It is important to give these people a shot and give the story an opportunity to see where it goes and see if it can get to the right spot. Ultimately, Zhao, Sarah Michelle Gellar, the cast and the crew that collaborated on this pilot had great opportunities to create work, to work together, to make connections. If it's not this, who knows? Maybe Zhao and Sarah Michelle Gellar collaborate on something else in the future, or these young up-and-coming actors who were cast in this show have other opportunities and doors that get open to them, that the executives see them and see their talent, or casting directors connect them. It is sad to not see a show develop, especially for fans of the Buffy franchise who were maybe really looking forward to this incarnation. But we can't get caught up too much in what it could have been, and instead just be grateful for the fact that people were paid to work. People got an opportunity to see it in one way, shape, or form. Though we will not get to see it, the public doesn't get to benefit from it. That is a little bit sad, but you can always tell yourself maybe it's for the best, and that's all we can do. Keep our heart open. Exactly. And our last story of the day here is going to be a little bit of sad news and a little bit of like damage control conversation about the Oscars. So Jeff Keighley, if you're not familiar, legendary host of the Game Awards, fantastic contributor to the entertainment reporting space, all in all. Jeff Keighley's father was the chief, I believe, quality officer at IMAX. IMAX even, in fact, named their latest IMAX camera after his father, David Keighley. He did unfortunately pass away this past year, and he was not included in the in memoriam section of the Oscars broadcast. Now, this is something that is constantly a difficult conversation to be had. Ultimately, when there is a massive amount of people that are part of the Academy, not all of them will make it to the broadcast and the in memoriam section. And when famous people in general pass away, there's often questions of like, why aren't they showcased in the in memoriam and the Oscars? And then there's the, well, is this better suited for the Grammys or for the Emmys or for, another different award celebration? And were they even a member of the Motion Picture Academy or whatever it may be? But in this case, I did want to, point out that what's happened here with Jeff Keighley is he did bring up this situation, and it looks like following him calling out that his father was not included, the AMPAS and Oscars CEO Bill Kramer blocked Jeff Keighley on Instagram, and he has not been given an answer, better instruction as to why this was the case. And as they always do, the Oscars producers do a little bit of damage control the following day in the press, and they did talk about the in memoriam section, and frankly, it was just a little bit of blame shifting. They said, oh, well, it's the Academy's call on who ends up. There's always people who are left out. Unfortunately, we're losing more and more people, and especially we're losing legendary people every year, so it's probably the hardest needle to thread. It just feels like a non-answer, and in my humble opinion, if you're going to make it a point to have an in memoriam section at all, you need to be mindful of the fact that the people around all these incredible artists and contributors who have passed away, that's who it's for, right? It's not for me, the average Joe watching. It's not for all of us. It's for their families and their legacy and the people attached to them. So if you're not going to include everybody, at the very least, the people who are excluded need to know and need to understand. And I think that's something that you got to consider. And when you talk about the future of the Academy, as the producer says here, that they're thinking about the future of the Academy Awards and thinking about the future of these presentations regarding cutoff speech, do you even continue to have an in memoriam section if all it's going to do is create this outrage? I don't know the answer to that question. I just know that, like, the in memoriam is for the families and is for the friends and is for the next of kins, and it's, you know, respect to them, obviously, as much as it is for anyone else, but they owe it to them more than they owe it to us. And yes, it is cool that I was a fan of this person, or I got to appreciate this person's work, but ultimately their families deserve the most respect, not whoever's going to get the most, oh my gosh, I know who that is, moments on screen time. So to the point of improvements, we mentioned earlier about the thing that happened with Golden's songwriters getting cut off, and the orchestra started playing and the lights turned off, and then they cut to commercial. The producer said, you know, we'll be looking at how we handle speeches. Do we need to look at it and say, okay, designate one person to speak, or maybe you continue it backstage and we have a live feed on social? We look at everything and figure out what the most elegant solution, because it's difficult, especially when you're cutting somebody off and it's their moment. I don't know what the most elegant solution is, but it is obviously something that we should look really, really long and hard at. Frankly, in my opinion, the solution is exactly what's already happening. You move the broadcast to YouTube. You move the broadcast to somewhere where it doesn't matter what the ad buyers paid for. It doesn't matter what is on afterwards, what the local broadcast is, so you can get to Family Feud quicker or whatever it is. That's just the bit that we keep saying about what happened with the Golden Globes these years. Just don't have something scheduled afterwards. Like, just have the show be a 4-hour program instead of a 3-hour program. It's fine. People are there to watch the Oscars, not whatever it is that turns on at 10:30, or put it on YouTube, like the Spirit Awards that they, well, obviously we know the Oscars are going to YouTube, but I think about something like the Spirit Awards that aired this year that didn't cut people off for their speeches and did let them go as long as they needed to. So I think the solution will solve itself, and they just need to understand, you know what? Let them ramble. Unless they're like actually rambling and you need to shut them up, like let them ramble, okay? But folks, that is just about going to wrap it up for us tonight, except for one last thing. Before I leave tonight, it's been a fantastic stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. I do need to end it with one last thing before we go tonight. And it is that we have officially peaked. We are done. We have made the best popcorn bucket. Devil Wears Prada 2, you win. You win. This is the coolest popcorn bucket. This is so good. This is perfect. This is like so on theme. This is chef's kiss. Look, I'm not even a purse guy. I'm not even like someone who's like super into a handbag. I just like, in every way that this is supposed to hit, it hits. All right, well, chat, that is going to wrap it up for us tonight. Thank you so much for stopping by for Movie News Monday. If you were here live, hey, thanks so much for being here live. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe. Let us know in the comments what stories stood out to you today. What stories did I not talk about that you want me to include next time? Also, hey, come on over to the live stream. You can tell me all those things in the moment, and then it'll actually happen. Immediate gratification. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram for short form content. Thank you again for stopping by. I have been Jupi Gorg. This has been Movie News Monday, and I will see you at the movies. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.